Bianca Belair won her match. She won the SmackDown Women's World Championship at WrestleMania, defeating Sasha Banks in the main event of night one. And boy, was this a great match. You could tell beforehand, both women understood the moment. This is the first singles match with two women to main event a WrestleMania. This is the first match where two African Americans, I believe, main event to WrestleMania. Again, momentous occasion. You could see the emotion on both women's faces, and rightfully so. It just made you invested way more into this than you would be otherwise. And as soon as the bell rang, the storytelling was on. This match told a story. And, the biggest part of the story was, ironically, it was Bianca Belair's hair. And I mean that in a very serious way. The story of the match, much of it was around Bianca Belair's hair. There were multiple times where Sasha Banks tried to grab her hair and got leverage. We saw the spot where she tangled it around the turnbuckle and pushed her in. We saw many spots where she, like right here, where Bianca Belair was able to reverse it, and that was the ending spot of the match. Sasha Banks, the entire match, was able to get leverage with her hair, and then at the end, she said no and took it back. She hit her finishing move, and the EST became the BEST of WWE in the main event of WrestleMania. This was a great match, and you couldn't help but be just elated at the ending. You couldn't help to be elated for Sasha Banks, who, I know she hasn't won a match at WrestleMania, but man, she made Bianca Belair look like a star as well. That's taking nothing away from Bianca, but this was a great match. Trevor, I want to hear your thoughts, man. What did you think about this match and just the magnitude of it?
So I mentioned maybe a few weeks back, we talked about Bianca Belair. I mentioned how sometimes she's so adorable. It's hard to even picture her as a tough guy, or a tough girl, I should say. And just seeing her when she came out, full of emotions, and that big old smile on her face, she was almost in tears that entire match. And it took, like you said, it told a story. It was one of those things where you're like, oh man, like I'm watching wrestling. I ain't supposed to be shedding a tear. I'm a man, but you got I kind of felt misty eyed the entire thing. Like it was just awesome. It was awesome to see. And for the young girls growing up, African American females, ages 6 to 100, saw something they have never seen before in any state. And we know what it is. It's a soap opera. We know that. But you also got to understand, back in the days of WWF, you didn't see stuff like this. Mm-hmm. This is something that was prevalent, and scripted or not, it's still a big deal. Yeah. It's kind of like reading a comic book and seeing someone that looks your skin complexion, like we were talking about the other week with the great Khali for you.
Oh yeah, we'll talk about Great Khali because my man got a payday for WrestleMania in 2021. But I'm sorry, continue.
But no, it's just to see something like that. I remember when I worked at an arena and I would see the little girls come in looking for their favorite wrestler just a couple years ago, and looking for their favorite wrestler when Ronda Rousey was there, and we would see all these girls come in just with the wrestling gear on. And I'll never forget this particular day. There was a little girl who was favorite wrestler was Ember Moon, but they did not have any Ember Moon in merchandise at the stands, and they were super upset about it or whatever because this little girl didn't see anybody that looked like her, Yeah. And this here is just beautiful to see. Like you said, it couldn't have been a better match, honestly. If she picked Asuka, I don't think it would have been the same. It was the reason she picked the Sasha Banks was what we saw. Sasha couldn't have put her more over if she tried.
Oh my God, Sasha Banks, by the way, just again, enough cannot be said about her because exactly. Sasha Banks, like I talked about last week, she's the new cerebral assassin of WWE. Nobody understands what your facial expressions, what your reactions, what your the ring psychology that she has is second to none in wrestling. It's off the charts. And That's why she's like, the boss of WWE. But I truly cannot say enough good things about this match. It deserved to go on last. You could actually even argue that it deserved to be on night 2. But I like this. I like having 2 main events. I talked about this on 2 different nights because it allows for them to be built up as more special. And this was a very special match. Also, the spot where Bianca Belair did a deadlifted Sasha Banks over her head onto the steps. People don't understand. That's hard enough. That's hard enough to do, to balance yourself up steps while holding someone straight. But to do it 10 minutes into a main event of WrestleMania match, like when you're getting tired, when you know the pressure is on, that there's people, there's no second takes. It made it even more special. And like I said, just amazing match. I'm not gonna give star reviews because I don't give star reviews to matches, but this was just perfect.
It was.
I think there's actually a lot that happened in this WrestleMania that could not have gone any better. And that's to say that about WrestleMania in 2021 and like in our current era, that's a huge compliment. WWE hit it out of the park with this main event.
It says a lot. Even after we just pretty much badmouth Raw, and we have been for in eternity, it really does show something that they had so many good spots, so many good matches in this event. And like another spot with this one for me was when they both looked at each other and kind of realized that we're making history right now. Both of them had tears in their eyes. Both of them had smiles on their face. They both realized, like, we're making history. This is great. Like, this was, to me, couldn't have been any better. It couldn't have been any better. And honestly, big ups to Sasha Banks. Like, could you imagine if Vince actually allowed her to leave like she wanted to?
Oh man, they would have lost their best. Like, no shame to Charlotte. No, nothing against Becky Lynch, who I think is overall the biggest like star in wrestling. But man, if Sasha Banks had walked and gone somewhere else, they would have lost. They would have lost,
really
literally.
Was.
And man, she still might want to. We can only hope. But
I mean, she still might want to. But like she went to Vince and told him that she wanted to. And this is one of the smartest things I think Vince McMahon's ever done.
Yeah.
He said no.
Thanks for watching this video from Real Take Sports Talk. Remember to like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever a new video is released. Also, remember to check out our live show every single Thursday at 8 p.m. right here on the YouTube channel. And remember, keep it real.